Today we have Asim Kumar Mukhopadhyay with us here, and he is the author of Clarity Competes. We are so blessed to have him here. First of all, let me give a quick introduction of who Asim is. First of all, in his name itself is a little introduction. Asim means no borders. So he has crossed all borders, like this book, which also has no borders because it is published internationally, available everywhere in the world. And his last name, his parents might have known that he's going to become a thought leader like he is today. They have added surname Mukhopadhyay. In this culture, Mukhopadhyay means principal or headmaster, right, sir? So, like that, he has been in the literary world, he has been in the leadership, first of all. And this is his attempt at getting into literary world as well. This book talks about clarity, which is one of the most important aspects of anything, especially for top leaders, for organizations, associations, and companies. So this talks about not past or present, talks about the future. What do companies and leaderships who they have to do in order to align with these three culture, innovation, cost, so that they can build their future. The future belongs to them. But that's from me. Let's learn more about Mr. Asim here. Sir, welcome to this talk.
Thanks, Ram, for introduction, which I don't know whether it is but a very unique introduction with so many forums I have spoken. This type of introduction I never had, so I reinvented myself through your introduction. Excellent. Yes, good to go.
Great. And also, the quick introduction I gave you as a thought leader is just a tip of the iceberg. If you have seen an iceberg, there's a tip, and the tip is Asim's thought leadership. That's what he's showing. But below that is a huge body of work with a lot of experiences in different industries, different organizations, different across the country, and plenty of years of experience. So we'll learn more about all of that. But first, let's talk about. I have made some notes also here because it's important to ask and not leave any important question behind for this interview. So let's talk about this book first. So tell us about this book. Let's understand from your words like what this book is all about.
See, Clarity Competes is basically a playbook of strategy. Playbook of strategy for execution, strategy for alignment, and strategy for finally the cost leadership. So strategy, Clarity Competes gives us enough impetus to see that an organization could have everything, but finally, without alignment, without clarity, the goal is not, the outcome is not achieved. So that's why I have written the contents of the book may cover so many things, but I have proved with stories, anecdotes to see, and my own experiences during my journey and what I have seen, that this is not coming through unless and until the alignment, the clarity happens. Confusion is not there, and clarity wins always. Clarity and conviction finally wins.
Absolutely, I totally agree. Because sometimes when things are not clear to be seen, and leaders are supposed to see clearly. So if they can't see clearly because of lack of clarity, that's where most of the wrong decisions may happen, misdirections can happen. So what inspired you to write this particular book on? Why did you choose clarity as the topic?
See, frankly speaking, I have a decades of experiences. I spent about 18 years in steel plants. I spent about 25 years in the automotives. I've spent in India and abroad various companies. There was a time I was in 15 plus boards of different Tata companies. So I have seen the companies from their boardroom, and I have also during my initial days, I have seen these companies, how their strategies fail. They have everything. They have talent. They have all other processes. But finally, success or the competitiveness is on leadership. And leadership is on clarity. So I thought that whether it's a cost, whether it is a value, whether it's an innovation, whether it's a technology, whatever you call it, but finally it is the clarity which I takes the leadership. Because with everything, cost, value, innovation, precision, you will need to have a strategy. And the leadership to apply that strategy has to have clarity. That's why I said in order to have competitiveness in the global environment, Indian environment, you must have clarity, must compete. And I feel that clarity and conviction will make everybody win.
Absolutely, totally agree. And when you were thinking about writing this book, what did you think about the audience? Like, who is the audience for this book, and why should they read this book?
Very good question. I would say the audience of the books will not be only those sitting in the boardrooms or the CXOs. This includes everybody in the value chain, whether he or she is a finance leader or a operation leader or a project leader or anyone in the system need to read this book. This book is famous for it will be famous for startups because we have seen a lot of startups. They start the business with their lot of, you can say, aspirations, lot of thinking, but finally it doesn't end up. Some succeed, some doesn't succeed. I think from the very beginning, the basic rules of doing business in a right manner with clarity will take them in a different way. Apart from that, these students in these schools will be tomorrow's managers, tomorrow's leaders. They will need a lot of impetus from the book. So I think this is for the entire ecosystem, whoever is connected, even for an entrepreneur. Even for an entrepreneur, there may be a lot of promoter-driven business, not that all professionalized company, but many promoter-driven business today is also transforming themselves into a very professional company. So because they wanted to become big, it is the decade of India. India signing or India's story is to be heard by everyone. And otherwise also this book is universally true for the globe. And that is why I have written the book. And I feel that the readers will only give their comments, readers will only reap their benefit. And to answer your second question, I would say that the book will not be purchased just because it will give you some ideas, some academics, some theories, but it should give you some advantages. Advantages for winning, advantages for creating a difference, how you can be a differentiator in the competitive environment. This book will enable us, clarity will compel the business to win over. That is why the people, I think, will like the book and will buy the book, will read the book. I want more and more people should read the book and the business are really become competitive.
Thank you, sir. Well said. And this title I see, Clarity Competes. It's very interesting. The cover is extraordinary. So, how did you think about this title? Is there anything behind this title, a story, a backstory to this title?
It's again, a very important question. I thought of whenever individual chapters are written, I have written on costs. I have also said that cost reduction becomes a myth, how the cost reduction need to create value. So whether you should be a cost leader or a value leader needs to be seen. Today, CFOs are not chief financial officers, some days CFOs are chief value officer. A lot of changes are happening in the external world. So then you talk of the business has to have cost, the business has to have value. I thought of cost value paradox. Then I said technology is equally important. Technology, India is a very famous for jugaad, but only whether jugaad will lead to success, jugaad unless and until it is a structured one, jugaad can give you a lot of things. So innovation is to be there, innovation, then technology, innovations, and you have to be future ready. But finally, if you have to be future ready, if you have to be visionary to see what is going to happen 10 years hence, 20 years hence, 30 years hence, and you have to build the business accordingly, you have to take all these ecosystems within yourselves, that whether it's a cost, whether it's a value, or it's a technology, or it's the innovation, whether your team, even the culture. You see, culture is to be good. Culture is extremely important for any organization because it is the linking pin for everything. The very culture. Culture, without culture, the things will not happen. So you need a good leadership, and a good leadership to succeed should have a culture which can bind all these things and have no confusion but clarity. That is the brevity one. I thought of many titles, but finally I ended with Clarity Competes, and I think the readers and the world will decide whether it is the right title. My aspiration is that the Clarity Competes should be a good brand for the business to excel.
Absolutely. Because as we have been talking about clarity, and it's very important for us to have clarity. So I believe people will be able to connect and resonate and connect deeply with this word. And as you rightly figured out, I mean, you are in strategy. So I believe that you have used some strategy to figure out this title as well. So let me also ask you at this point, if I have to ask you for, let's say, 3 to 5 biggest takeaways from this book for the reader, what would be those three, four, five, any number of key benefits from reading this book? If you could explore more on that, that would be great.
So one thing I would say, in order to become cost leaders, you need to be have value leadership first. This is one of the important from the book. Second, I feel that strategy is everything is concrete. It is not discrete. It would come. Third thing I think will come is that alignment is the most important things. If the alignment is not there, if the confusion is there, you must have the best talents within your own ecosystem, but then you are not going to succeed it through. And finally, for a future ready enterprises, you should be having a kind of synchronization and cohesion between all of your functions, and your leadership takes the journey with full clarity and finally wins. This is the final takeaway from the book.
Fantastic. And I see this is not a very large book. This is a very decent sized book, easy to read. You can start and read completely in an afternoon, perhaps, which is so good. Or when someone is traveling, it's very good to read during that commute or travel. So, how do you recommend people read this book? Should they start from the beginning, go all the way to the end, or they can go from place to place? What's your recommendation?
I would suggest that people should be going from end to end. But at the same time, there will not be any problem that people don't have time. So you see the second half of a movie first, and then they see the first half and connect both together. So the book is written in such a way that that's also possible, but it would not be suggested. They should be doing it should be reflective with a value lens, because then they can just go in sync with each of a very nicely set up paragraph in my judgment, but the readers will finally see. Suggest to read it not in one go, but from the first page to 176 page. It was not 176, it was much more. But we tried to, because if I make create a book of 500 pages, people will not read the book. Yeah, the book is created with 176 pages, people will perhaps will read the book, and I feel that will be good to go.
And I have gone through this book. This is it go doesn't contain any fluff at all in the first place. So full of frameworks, charts, very interesting pictures, very interesting frameworks. So it should be a good read, very interesting read. So after someone reads this book, in different experiences, someone may read from start to finish, and someone may read, take notes in between. Someone may split and read, and may go back and read once, and then go back and read or reread what's important or applicable to them at that point of time. So after reading this book, what do you suggest is the next step for the reader?
See, it depends. Basically, if a person is a leader already in the organization, it should apply to his or her own organization. Try to see the pitfalls. At least I am happy to say that a couple of CEOs says that after reading your book, I feel that this is what exactly happening in my company. I said, I have not written this book for your company. But actually speaking, since you are telling this, perhaps it is my success. So applying it to his or her own company's process, practices, SOPs, where other disconnects happen, try to connect the dots, try to connect the misalignments, and then do a kind of a dipstick to see still what's going wrong, and thereafter one by one with leadership engagements and different processes, try to build a culture, because finally culture is not an HR subject. Culture is a subject which is according to the entire organization. Take it forward. So that is the way, if it is done, definitely it will get a benefit. If a B school graduate is reading this book, from the day one he or she joins the company, he will be able to apply the knowledge and skills and insights which are there in the books, and definitely he will have a lot of foresights by the time he grows to the mid-level managers. So this is the way I think it should happen. In fact, the book contains some stories which we have in my early 30s. And that stories are, in fact, the stories by which I would say that the traditional belief of what should be done in case of technology also changes, in case of chemistry also changes. One good story of the steel plant limestone is given in the book. Very, very favorable story for me. And I had to fight for it. 2 years to see that these are that ideas have been implemented in a steel plant. Yet when the high silica limestones are thrown away and that was replaced by the quartzite to get 30-40% yield. This is basically reinventing the whole thing. This learning gets a lot of examples. You can say influenced by this example, they will create hundreds and thousands of such cases. And then I think this Make in India journey and see that Indian costs are the costs which are competitive will be successful.
I am hoping and I believe that books like this will also contribute to the Viksit Bharat goal that we have for 2047 perhaps. So this is all these leaders have to guide everybody else. Sir, what do you think about your no role now as an author of this book? Would you like to say how you feel about being an author of this book?
See, I'd say this was one of my dreams. During my whole career, 40 plus years, 42, 43 years, I didn't get time. Many times I thought of writing a book, but writing a book, such a good book with a title, good I feel, the reader should be there. But at the same time, I would say, at least I was passionate and I'm a continued learner. And this book has given me huge differentiating advantage to see the things in the world. So I'm proud to be the author. At the same time, I feel I'm going to do whatever experiences I've had. I'm able to contribute it, I'm able to document it somewhere, and people will get advantage of it. That's the feeling I'm having, and hopefully the readers will give the final judgment.
Absolutely. So if readers want to connect with you, maybe they have questions to ask you, maybe they have some clarity to gain by asking you or connecting with you, how do they reach out?
See, the one best thing I would say, I'm very prompt in LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
I'm in LinkedIn, so they can very well connect me in LinkedIn. Otherwise, I'm the managing director of Navtrom Consulting Private Limited, which takes into consideration strategic leadership, business transformation, ESG, global capability centers, all these sorts of things. So there, from that forum also, I can connect with the reader. So both ways, our website is available, www.naftrom.com. It is there in the book also, and the emails are also available. They can write it, and I think the best way to connect is the LinkedIn, and I'm very prompt there.
Sir, I wanted to ask about one of these images from the book, charts. This is India's cost innovation model.
Yeah.
So can you kindly elaborate a little bit on this?
Yeah.
So I am assuming this is a model for entire India.
Yeah, India's cost innovation models. See, basically speaking, you see, I have given an equation at the top. I said high constant plus high creativity is equals to distinctive costs minus value advents. India's ecosystem evolves through friction, not despite it. That is the basic theme or objective of the entire diagram. Now, it precisely says that from the policies, you are supposed to get the policies translate into the real cost advantage. Whether the policies are getting translated with the real cost advantage or not. See, a lot of policies are there. Policies are also subject to revisions. Everything is happening. It is the duty of thought leaders to bring it to the government policy holders or create advocacies for the policies to see that policies are modified. They are modified also. And I would say that today the government ecosystem has also become very responsive by dealing with the electric buses. I have seen the way the MHI and all have changed their policies in different levels. It shows that a very pragmatic policies comes. So policy forces finally will enable you to reduce the cost. I am giving just an example. See, one electric bus cost not less than 1 crore, even more than that. Now it creates a business model when somebody is buying, STU is buying per kilometer running of these buses. This is a model. If you are to reduce the cost, if you are doing the OPEX model of this transaction, this definitely requires a lot of policy intervention. This policy intervention, and it's a win-win. Business also need to get the return on capital employed. Today we are talking of return on capital employed. In the book, I have said that finally it will be sustainability-led returns on capital. Tomorrow with the ESG imperative, that will also come. So I think with a long-term perspective, this is to be seen, and infrastructure's constants will be there. because you see resources are less. So definitely a lot of constraints will be there that will create a pressure on the cost. And the fact remains, Indian innovation response. This is the most important thing. Jugaad is also an excellent thing in India, but the Jugaad should have a structured approach for Jugaad. Otherwise, this will not happen. Because it will be a temporary. So it should be giving some sustained advantage. That's what we tell it. See, earlier people used to say cradle to cradle. A product has to be managed cradle to grave. Today it is telling cradle to cradle. Because we are also feeling that nothing is a waste. Waste is also transformed in the ecosystem, in the circular economy. So, life cycle cost management is done through this innovation. This life cycle cost management, when it is done, it is actually cradle to grave earlier. Now it is cradle to cradle. And it is an excellent way of managing. People should think of managing that cost rather than today's cost. If I am going to create a hydrogen powered bus, definitely that will be cost a huge sum. But then if you see the hydrogen powered bus during its life cycle, what will be the cost? This will be much reduced. That is the basic thing which is.
And you also have talked about policy. Like, who should be actually driving this policy? Is it the responsibility of the government or the leadership or the business? What does your experience say?
I feel the policy should be driven by the stakeholders. Government definitely will launch a policy, but the stakeholders need to reach to the government. What is the issue coming up? I'm telling you, there is a very good system which has been introduced now with this MHI, this PME drive. They have created a fund. See, what was getting founded that the India is basically, you say, it is a conglomerate of so many states. So some of the states is a rich one, some of the states may not be that rich. Some at the payment flow is good, some at the payment flow is not that good. But your working capital of the company you need to manage. PME Drive creates a fund by which if an operator or an OEM is not getting their money, straightway these will be going from the PM's E-Drive's corpus. And through transactions, this will be charged to the states. But the centers, the finance commission, center state financial allocations will take care of this. By this way, bankers will be very much interested to lead finance because there is securitization of this model. So how this policy is revised? In fact, I was instrumental when I was along with so many people, also leaders of the industry, to plead to the bureaucracy that this is what is needed. It took 2 years, 3 years, but the policy is changed. Government will launch the policy, but it is the stakeholders' duty to see that if the application orientation of the policy, if we find that there are some issues, they should be taken care of. I am confident, at least with my life story, that people do hear us. This is a good thing. If you are logically able to articulate your argument, you will be heard.
Excellent. And again, let's talk about this. Clarity Competes is now available everywhere, all over the world, global release, different countries, in different editions. We have paperback, hardcover, digital edition. So all these editions, please enjoy this book, learn more about, get more clarity, and reach out to Asimji if you have any clarifications or just you want to say hello. You can go to his LinkedIn and ping him there. Let's all create that buzz around this and let's welcome this new author from Stardom Books. I'm so glad we are able to work as publishers to Clarity Competes as well. Thank you.